All right, I'm back with part 2 of a question and answer series here about life in Tehachapi. So if you are new to this channel, my name is Courtney Chalupa. I'm a realtor here in Tehachapi, California, and I moved here 5 years ago from San Francisco, and I fell in love with the area. So I created this channel to hopefully provide some helpful information if you or someone you know is potentially looking at relocating here. And if you are interested in buying or selling here, my contact information is below. I would be happy to help you out with either one of those things. And let's just jump into the questions. So I will link below the part 1 in case you missed that. And my channel does have some other helpful videos as well. And if you ever have any suggestions on other videos you'd like to see, I'm all ears. All right, question number 1. Are there any off-grid properties? So we do have some off-grid properties. The majority that I see are in areas like Mountain Meadows, Old West Ranch, Sand Canyon, and some parts of Alpine Forest. So not all homes or properties in those areas are off-grid, but I have seen some off-grid properties in those communities. And there are county areas or county communities like Stallion Springs, Bear Valley, the rest of Alpine, that the majority of properties do have septic. And yeah, a lot of people do have solar on their homes as well. So if you are looking for an off-the-grid property, there are some options here, and I'd be happy to help you with your search with that. All right, question number 2, is there a lake or river area? So there's nothing that's huge that we're known for here, but we do have some small lakes in a few different communities, and we don't have any actual rivers. We do have some creeks and more seasonal type of things just from snow runoff and whatnot. But probably the largest body of water, I haven't measured it, so please don't hold me to this, but Bright Lake, which is not a lake that you can actually swim or have any bodily contact with, but you can, I believe, kayak or do paddleboarding there, or just walk that area. It is part of Tehachapi City, I believe. Tehachapi Parks and Rec manages that area, and that water is used for fire control, I believe. So it's not something that you would, be able to jump around and play in, but there is some fishing and, like I said, kayaking and paddleboarding that's allowed. And because there's a campground there, people sometimes do use that area for those purposes. Bear Valley Springs, which is our gated community here with an HOA, does have a golf course, and there is one lake near the golf course called Four Island Lake. That is the largest lake in Bear Valley Springs. It's a man-made lake, and again, you can do paddleboarding, you can do kayaking. I believe there have been times where people have gone in the water, but I think they're always trying to monitor algae situations and stuff like that. So, and the community is really good about informing people if there are any risks involved. But that lake is wonderful. There's picnic areas, and I personally have been to some great barbecues there. So it's a really special place. And there are areas or homes around that lake area as well. And that's a fairly desirable spot if you are wanting kind of a lakefront property near a golf course. Bear Valley also has another lake, which is called Cub Lake. It's a little smaller. I personally love that lake just to go sit and enjoy kind of the center part of Bear Valley Springs. So there's some walking paths. It's not too far from the dog park. There's, again, picnic tables and some kids' play areas. So Bear Valley does offer 2 lakes that kind of offer just the beauty that you want with water. Stallion Springs has Horsethief Lake. This is part of the old golf course that was in Stallion Springs. Someone did purchase that golf course. The last thing I heard is that they are hoping to make some improvements with the new owner in 2023 and potentially start opening some things like the restaurant there, potentially a driving range. I don't know everything for sure, but there are new owners as of a couple years ago, and I think their goal is to make that golf course run again. But there is a small lake there that you can do some fishing, walk near. There's a park right there called Horsethief Park, and it's really nice to have a lake there as well. All right, what is the vibe like? This is question number 3. So I think the vibe is going to vary from who you are and where you're coming from. I'm coming from a major metropolitan area where I lived pretty much 15 years, almost all my adult life in San Francisco. So moving here from a major metropolitan area, this is a very small town for me. Population from all the communities in the greater Tehachapi area is right around 35,000. And so it is a very small town vibes for me. It's very quiet at night. I remember I had friends come visit one time and we wanted to go out and, have a night on the town, I guess you could say. And I just remember it was a weeknight or something and everything was closed by 8 or 9 p.m. And I was very thrown off by that. But that's one of the reasons I moved here. I didn't move here for the chaos of the cities. I left that behind intentionally, and I can get that still when I go to LA once a month for a fun night for some live music and some restaurants and stuff like that. So personally, I knew what I was getting into, but there was still a little bit of a culture shock for me. It is a very protective community. So each community has its own neighborhood watch. There's activity with communicating on apps like Nextdoor to make sure, if there's a bear in your yard, you can post to let your neighbors know. And people just keep an eye out for any strange activity. So I really like the fact there's a lot of people that live up here. Like my own personal neighbor is a retired sheriff. I have some retired firefighters nearby. And so it is a very protective community as a whole. It's also very casual and relaxed. So it's that slower paced vibe. Really the only traffic jams you might encounter are some wildlife, some elk crossing the road or some pretty cute little deer. And there are some areas when they have to do some road maintenance that might include a little bit of traffic. But for the most part, it's not a lot of speeding and it's not a lot of people in a hurry. It's just kind of a slower paced, casual life. So I really appreciate that. Again, I can go get the chaos when I go to LA. So question number 4, any public pools for swimming? So to my knowledge, we have 3 public pools, kind of. One is in Bear Valley Springs. So you either need to be a resident there or you need to know a resident and go with them to access that pool. We also have a pool in Stallion Springs and we have a pool in Tehachapi City. That one's called Dinatorium. I believe all of these pools are summer only, but there might be some lap swim at Bear Valley year round. And I think that's the only one with lap swim year round, but don't quote me on it. I will be leaving links below to some of the parks and rec communities. So if you want to do a little more research, I'll try and link as much as I can below. All right, I'm already lost on how many questions we're at, but next question, what kind of grocery stores, shopping areas are there? So it's small town. So when I moved here, we did not have a Walmart. I think the Walmart opened 2020 or 2019 maybe 2019. And so we do have a Walmart, which is nice because it does offer a little bit more than some of our other stores. So you don't necessarily have to drive out of town for everything. We do have an Albertsons, a Save Mart. Those are kind of the regular kind of shopping spots. There are some dollar stores as well. And we do have a lot of small town shops. So, you can go to gift shops. We've got a couple of cute clothing stores. And a lot of it's just kind of small and local. But if you do want something like Trader Joe's, Costco, Target, from the city of Tehachapi, Bakersfield is about 45 minutes to the west, and the Antelope Valley, which includes Lancaster, Palmdale area, that's about 45 minutes to the east. So a lot of us, myself included, will take like one day a month and just go run some errands out of town. And yeah, it just kind of works. It's a little bit of a difference if you're moving here from a place with a lot more amenities, but again, that's one of the reasons we like living here, is just that small town charm. So, all right, are there any good restaurants or places to eat? So this is going to be personal preference. Everything is pretty casual. We really don't have any place that you'd have to dress up for, anything too fancy. So I'm just going to list a few of my favorites. This isn't going to cover everything. It's just some of the places that I enjoy their food and and service. So Kohnen's is probably one of the most well-known. It's a German bakery that we have in town where you can get sandwiches and soups and pastries and breads. And a lot of travelers that come through the area will sometimes stop there on their way to whatever destination. And it's a really great spot. I really like it in there. I am partial to Steampunk Cafe. It's a little tucked back, but I just love the food there, and it's kind of quirky inside, kind of got the steampunk decorations and whatnot. So that's one of my favorites. I like Red House Barbecue. It's just casual. I love their back patio on a nice day. And yeah, I'm always happy with some barbecue. There's a wine bar that also has some food options as well, and it's called Veritas. And that's mostly open nights and weekends, but that's a kind of a nice spot. I go there with friends to have a girls' night. It's a great date spot, and sometimes they have live music there. And let's see, TK's Pizza. That's a great spot. Even though it's pizza in the name, they do have pastas and sandwiches and stuff like that. They also have a really great patio as well, and it's pretty central location. They also have a great beer revolving menu, and they have some local wines there as well. Kelcy's Diner, it's kind of the heart of downtown. I love going to little coffee shops or older kind of diners. This one has an old sign out front, and so there's some history, there's some old photos in there. I just love the charm of an old diner. So that's one of my favorite spots for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I get pies there sometimes for holidays. I love getting their pot pies sometimes when I don't feel like cooking. So it's just got some charm. A couple other ones, Prime Bar and Grill has some great Indian food, and also Thai-Hatchapi. We've got a couple Thai restaurants, but I am partial to Thai-Hatchapi. It's fun just with the name. They did Thai and then Hatchapi. So I think that's pretty cute. There's a lot more, but again, just sharing a few of my favorites. Some nightlife options. So I'm relatively young. I moved here from kind of a hip and fun city, and I knew there wasn't going to be much nightlife, but it is fun at times to go out with friends and just have some fun. So we do have 3 local breweries, and we also have wineries. We are an AVA designated wine region, and that's pretty much in the Cummings Valley area. So you can do wine tours, or you can just go around with friends or family. I had some friends in town recently, and I took them to a few wineries, and it was a lot of fun. They were from out of state, and it was just really, really nice just to hang out and listen to live music. So again, I'm partial to those. Veritas Wine Bar, I've already mentioned. And just keep in mind, most things do close pretty early, but a lot of people also just like to hang out with friends and family at their homes. So what are the utilities here and costs? So costs vary so much based off of the property, and, so that's a really hard thing to guesstimate. But we do have some major utility companies. Most people are on SoCal Edison or PG&E for electricity. SoCal Gas or PG&E for natural gas. So some areas do have natural gas, and many of the county areas, kind of the surrounding areas of Tehachapi, have propane. So a lot of my neighbors have propane. I just happen to find a lot with some natural gas, but propane is pretty common around here as well. And we have multiple companies to choose from. Water is a common question I get. So water is, unless you are off the grid and you are dealing with a well, or you have a shared well space in a smaller county community, water is handled by each community itself. I've never heard of any water issues, but this is California and there is, a drought. So I understand the question, but we do have community wells in a lot of areas that handle our water. So I just pay a water bill to my community, my community services district, and they handle my water. So again, different if you're off the grid, but that's pretty obvious. All right, one person did ask a very specific question, and I did the best I could with my research. So I hope this is accurate. But they were asking for the all-inclusive net total property tax rates for the various Tehachapi communities. And based off of the research I did, it looks like every community is 1.158%, with the exception of Bear Valley Springs, which is just a smidge higher, 1.168%. Again, if you are house shopping and you do want to know that information, I would be happy to help you find out that information for a specific property. But this was a quick search based off of the different communities, which included Stallion Springs, Alpine Forest, Golden Hills, Tehachapi City, and of course, Bear Valley Springs. So I hope that's helpful to the one person that asked that. All right, 2 more questions. What are the school options for kids? So we have some public schools here. We have 3 elementary schools, and we have 1 middle school, and we have 1 high school. We also have a variety of small private schools as well to choose from. And I do know some people who homeschool their kids through different programs through the state. So there are some options here. I asked my sister, who is a teacher, not in this area, but in Southern California, when people ask about how the schools are, what she would recommend to any parent. And she recommended that you might want to look at the district's website, any school websites, to just get a sense of the culture. You also might want to look at their social media. So if they're on social media with the schools, you can see what activities and things they're posting. And so I will leave any information I can below. But yeah, I mean, there are some options. All right, and the last question, are there any colleges here? So we do not have any major college. We do have Saracosa Community College. We have a location here. That community college system serves mostly the eastern Sierra Nevada range area, like towns around there. So they offer general education classes that can be used towards getting your AA transfer or personal professional growth. So the closest 4-year accredited college would be Cal State Bakersfield, which is 45 minutes from the city of Tehachapi. So I hope that's helpful. I think I said in the last one that as soon as I get enough questions, I will do a Q&A part 3. I get a lot of questions from a lot of excited people about this area. And so hopefully these are helpful. I am happy to answer any additional questions. So again, my contact information is below. I'd be happy to help, start a conversation, and hopefully help you buy or sell here as well. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.